Hey guys, welcome back to Thrilling Stories about New Orleans. Well, get ready with me, Thrilling Stories, New Orleans. Anyway, yeah. If you are new here, welcome. We are happy to have you. Wednesdays and Fridays on this channel, we do makeup and we focus on the crazy things that have happened in New Orleans. Now, this is the look we are doing. I'm looking at different ways to do these videos. I'm wanting to make sure I get all of the information out to you, but I'm also wanting to make sure that everything makeup wise is done in the time frame of the story, because I don't want to edit out just silence or anything like that. I want to be able to focus 100% on the story. So for the longer stories, you are going to see me without any makeup at start. And then for the shorter stories, I'm going to be just focusing on the eye look. So that is the plan. All right, guys, let's go ahead and get to the story. Today, we are talking about a haunting that takes place at 2606 Royal Street, which is this is a very interesting story. The events that surround this story are actually really sad, so forewarning. And I do actually want to say viewer discretion is advised. There is talk of suicide, self-harm, and I mean basically child abuse, honestly. So viewer discretion is advised. If any of that makes you uncomfortable, please don't watch this. I don't want to make anyone uncomfortable. But this is a crazy story that happened in the 1900s. And it is New Orleans, so we are going to talk about it. Now, let's go ahead and get to the story. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you get all of the videos. We are getting to more and more exciting videos, more and more in-depth videos, and things about to take a turn and get really dark and really twisted, y'all. You don't want to miss any of this. So make sure you subscribe, make sure you hit the notification bell. And if you have any crazy stories about New Orleans, or even your own personal hauntings that you want me to, like, maybe research where the haunting took place, let me know down in the comment box, and we'll see what we can do. We'll see what we can make happen. Alright guys, enjoy the video. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. I do want to just say, y'all bear with me. I'm really trying to figure out how I want to start these videos. I don't know if I want to start these videos barefaced, but I really think it also depends on the length of the story and the amount of information I have. So for like these shorter-ish stories, I kind of want to keep it simple and go in and do like just an eye look. You know what I mean? So that is what we are going to go ahead and do. And as we talked about in the intro, we are going to be talking about Madame Mineurecanal. Let's go ahead and get started. So this story takes place at 2606 Royal Street. One of these corners has the map of where that is. And the beginning of the story actually takes place in the 1900s. We're just gonna call her Madame because I don't want to pronounce that long freaking name numerous times in the story. So she was a Creole lady, and at one point she had a husband and a son. Her son just kind of vanished. So her husband had died in the Spanish-American War, which is, that's how old this story is. So she wasn't well known by her neighbors, because at that point she kind of started keeping to herself, because I mean, her entire family died. So all she had left was this little white terrier. She had her very own Mac, just he was white. And like, that's all she had left. So she was depressed. She wasn't well known to her neighbors. And one night she went upstairs to her attic, hung a noose and stood on top of a chair, and she had full intentions of hanging herself. Well, underneath the chair stood her little white terrier, who let out a whimper as if he knew what was about to happen. So any dog that you're really close with, like when I'm not feeling 100%, and even if I don't say it, Mac knows. Mac knows. And it's something they sense. And she got this feeling that he knew what was about to happen. So she got off her chair. She picked, like, honestly, this is the hardest part of the story for me. She picked him up and she held him for a few moments. And she like snuggled him and tried to put him at ease. Dogs aren't stupid, y'all. And then she strangled her little white terrier. I mean, don't get me wrong. If I'm gonna go, I want Mac to go with me. But I'm not gonna kill my dog. Her thought was he would join her in the afterlife. And that's what I think is gonna happen with me and Mac. I think we're gonna pass along the same time frame, and he's gonna join me. And then she got on her chair, tied the noose around her neck, and stepped off of the chair. So she strangled her dog and then hung herself. I mean, at least she didn't leave the dog there to like consume her body. I don't know. I don't know. So the first real documentation of any haunting by the Madame after that wasn't until after World War II. Now, there was a housing shortage, and this family, okay, so let's explain this real quick. There was a housing shortage after World War II, and numerous family members would live under one single roof. So like, for example, I'll use like common day today, for example. Like, if there was a housing shortage, it would be my family, which would be me, my husband, and we'll pretend Mac is a child. My mother and my brother and his whatever. My husband's sister and her whatever. So like, it was numerous family members living under one roof. Sometimes it was numerous families within the family living under one roof. Now, the Ruez family purchased this house, okay? And it was them, their children, his wife, or their son, his wife, their children. Now, I'm going to go ahead and mention the grandkids now. It's Raymond and Theresa. And then Mr. Ruez, two brothers, and his families. And their families. So this was Mr. and Mrs. Ruez. That's technically one family. His wife, or his son, their son, with his wife and his two kids. That's two families. And then Mr. Ruez's 2 brothers and their 2 families. That's a lot of people under one roof, y'all. So, this is where our story begins, guys. It's the 1970s. And Raymond and Theresa finally speak out about what happened. Now, keep in mind, the house was purchased after World War II. No one spoke out about this until the 1970s. So, Raymond and Theresa are speaking out about what took place in this house. And the first real sighting that they remember or speak of was actually their grandmother. So their grandmother was laying in her bed. Now, her bedroom was located on the 2nd floor in one of the balcony rooms. And she was in bed. She was drinking her tea, reading a book, living her best life. It was at night. And now keep in mind, there's a lot of people living in this house, guys. And she heard one of the babies crying. So it was one of Mr. Ruez's brothers' babies crying. She gets up to go see if, like, the mother is in there taking care of the baby. Because the baby's been crying for a minute now. Like, I don't know if y'all have been around babies. Like, they'll still cry when you pick them up. So she gets up to make sure that the mother is actually awake. I don't know if it was, like a newborn or if this was a new mother and she was still learning. I don't know that much information. It doesn't go into that much detail. So their grandmother, Mrs. Ruez, we're going to call her Mrs. R. Okay. She gets up to go make sure that the baby is being tended to. She walks down the hall, glances in the baby's room, and there is a woman in what appears to be a white nightgown with long black hair, dark hair, standing over the baby's crib. Now, at this point, she assumes that's the baby's mom. But the baby's still crying. She's just standing over the crib, staring at the crib. And the baby's still crying. So Mrs. Ruez calls out the mother's name. Like, wondering why she's just staring at the baby while it cries in the bed. Mrs. R again. Rita. No response. Rita. No response. Finally, Rita. Rita comes running out of the other room. Now, Mrs. R, at this point, glances back over like, if you're here, and someone's in, then who in the actual hell is that? Glances over. The woman in the white nightgown begins walking towards the closet and then vanishes. So I'm thinking this woman got a thing for kids, because that's not the only story involving a child. So that was the first sighting by their grandmother. I'm not gonna lie, that might be enough for me to book it. But I mean, it's hard times. Everyone's living under one roof. Like, I understand why, like, maybe they're just brushing it off and thinking, like, I need sleep or something. Who knows? The second sighting was made by Raymond and Theresa's mother. At the time, she was 7 months pregnant. And she had gone upstairs. Because, I mean, it's the 70s, so there's only one real, like, phone to dial out in the house. I mean, not many people had enough money to have that many freaking phones. You know what I'm saying? It's not like now where we have cell phones. Just walk around. I don't have to go to a second floor to call someone. So she goes up to the 2nd floor of the house to call her husband, Mr. and Mrs. R's son, to see when he's going to be home from work. Now, the phone was located on the second floor by the staircase that leads to the attic. She picks up the phone to dial, and in the corner of her eye, she thought she saw movement from the attic. So she thought she saw some movement. She thinks nothing of it, picks up the phone, continues to try to dial. When what she hears sounds like, if you don't know that sound, that is the sound of a little terrier, just like Mac, running downstairs. They always sound like this for some reason. It's adorable. I think it's adorable. And then she looks over towards the attic, and she sees, and I quote, this comes from her children. As the woman came closer, it was obvious to my mother that the form was not human. Raymond said that in regards to what his mother saw. Now this woman in this white gown with this long dark hair is coming towards her. Doesn't appear to be human. And then there's this little white terrier in tow. So not only now do we have ghost woman, we have ghost dog. Actually, I wouldn't mind a ghost dog. Just saying. I'm just throwing that out there. So naturally, she's 7 months pregnant. She sees someone she doesn't know. It doesn't appear to be human. And a little ghost dog in tow. She proceeds to book it downstairs. Keep in mind, she's 7 months pregnant. I don't know if you've seen a 7-month pregnant woman. She can't run that fast. So she proceeds to book it downstairs, not looking back. I mean, I don't blame her. And as she's running, she finally gets downstairs. She pulls out, I don't know if it was a rosary, I don't know if it was a cross, but she pulls out a religious, like her religious necklace that she was wearing, gets on her hands and knees and begins to pray. Now, this is where the story kind of takes a turn from playful to honestly really sad. A few days later, Raymond and Theresa's mother, after seeing this ghost, gave birth to a stillborn. Now, keep in mind, this is the 70s. So it really could have been anything. It could have. I'm not going to downplay it because it's still a horrible thing to have to go through. So I'm not going to downplay it, but it really could have been anything. You just never know. I mean, it happens. So from that day forward, the ghost started making her presence more and more known. You would hear sounds that sound like pacing, or a dog walking coming from the attic. And you would hear like moaning coming from the attic. So keep in mind, like, the attic is where she died. So I'm not surprised that that is where all of the sounds started coming from. But that was not the last of her sighting. One of Mr. Ruez, Mr. R's brother, Santos, he saw her twice. And things got really weird from there. So Santos one night was coming home late from work, and he was walking up the stairs when he saw this ghost coming at him to go downstairs, to the point, and I mean, I can't even say this would be my reaction, but he literally moved aside to let her pass to go downstairs. I can't say that would be my reaction. My reaction would probably be like frozen in fear. As he was going downstairs, or as she was coming downstairs, or as she passed him going downstairs, I'm sorry. As she passed him going downstairs, he described what he felt was like an icy chill. And then another time, he had seen her as he was going to his bedroom. Because keep in mind, like, all the rooms are on like most of the rooms are on the second floor. As he was going to his bedroom after yet again coming home late from work, he saw her coming down from the attic. Now again, it's not the last we see her or we hear her. And Raymond and Theresa actually said that they remember when they would get in trouble. This is so screwed up. I don't know if the family knew that she came from the attic or not, or if this was just like some psychological punishment. But they would, when they would get in trouble or they would misbehave or whatever, when they were being punished, they would be forced to sit on the sofa on the second floor next to the stairway to the attic. And Raymond recalled seeing her numerous times while they were being punished, leaving the attic. And y'all, seriously though, if like the family knew that the spirit came from the attic and made the kids sit there during punishment, that is like some psychological punishment. Anyway, maybe they just thought like she wouldn't hurt the kids. I don't know. So Theresa, she's the youngest one between her and Raymond, by the way, recalls seeing her so many times. One instance that she recalls, she was 5, and she began calling her Mineurecanal, the spirit. Like, Theresa began calling the spirit Mineurecanal. And when she was asked, where did you get this name? Theresa had no explanation. First of all, keep in mind she's 5. It's known that younger children, because they're blocked by like life experiences and everything, they tend to be more susceptible to spirits. Another instance that Theresa recalls is when their cousin would taunt Mineurecanal. And one day, I guess Mineurecanal got fed up with his shit. He had gone to bed. He had been put to bed. The family, like, turned off the lights. And after they had left him in his room, they heard him screaming at the top of his lungs. Apparently, Mineurecanal did not like being taunted. She did not like being disrespected. So once he was alone in his bed in the dark, she stood over his body and slapped the hell out of his face because he had a handprint on his face when his parents found him. So like, he would taunt her. He would literally taunt her. He'd run around singing, like, like how kids taunt, like they'll sing Nana Nana Boo Boo. Well, he's running around singing Mineurecanal, Mineurecanal. No, Mineurecanal got him. Slapped the crap out of him. So that was the first time she had ever made physical contact, and that's when things just go south, y'all. Like, no joke. One night their father was laying in his bed, and he had awoken to what he thought was his wife sitting on the sofa across from their bed. And he's like talking to her and talking to her, and it isn't until his wife moves in bed that he looks over and sees it's not his wife sitting on the couch, because his wife is knocked the hell out next to him. He looks back over at the couch, no one there. There were actually deaths. Now, whether the deaths are 100% due to Mineurecanal, don't know, but they are very suspicious. Right after seeing Mineurecanal, their uncle Louis, or Lou, had gone, he'd left, and he'd gotten in a car crash shortly after. So they had an Uncle Robert, right? Now, Uncle Robert had seen Mineurecanal a few times, and something about seeing Mineurecanal literally made him mentally unstable, y'all. No freaking joke. This man ended up trying to take his own life 2 separate occasions. He tried to slit his wrist once, and then the second time he tried to jump off of the balcony. When he was confronted about this, all he said was, "I don't remember. I felt so depressed. Like I couldn't go on anymore, and I don't know why." Now, Mineurecanal killed herself because she felt so depressed she couldn't go on. Now, Theresa and Raymond actually ended up having a younger brother later on, and it wasn't... That poor child had 2 of the worst encounters. He was an infant. The first time... We're gonna take a break from makeup to talk about this, because these are messed up. So the first time Mineurecanal had interacted with their younger brother, Theresa had gone into his room and saw him dangling by one arm off of the balcony. He's an infant. He's a freaking infant. So it was almost as if Mineurecanal was holding him by his arm over the balcony. The second time, he was in the high chair eating, and he had gotten out, but the straps to the high chair had somehow wrapped around his neck, and he was dangling from the high chair with the straps by his neck. And Theresa was the one that found him, and she starts screaming, "Mineurecanal, stop! Mineurecanal, stop! Mineurecanal, stop! Mineurecanal, don't hurt him!" And at that point, like, Grandma R loses her mind and smashes the high chair. Because, like, at that point, like, you're trying to kill the baby. Why are you trying to kill the baby? So, Grandmother R has the entire house blessed. Nothing changes. In fact, everyone starts moving out. One by one by one. They all start moving out. At one point, Raymond and Theresa's mother said she was just too terrified to live in that house. They just left. I'm gonna do my eyeliner, finish the rest of my face, and we'll be back and do lips. Alright, so I went ahead and I used some Fatal Beauty eyeliner, some Too Faced mascara, Morphe setting spray, and we're going to finish the story and do our lips real quick. So, not too long ago, the house was actually purchased by a lawyer from Santa Fe. His name was Phil Hontel. Now, when this poor man purchased this house, y'all, he had no idea what was going down in this house. It actually wasn't until he had moved in and one of the neighbors said, "Hey, whatever you do, don't open the chimney." And Phil was like, "Why can't I open my chimney?" And the neighbor tells him that the house is haunted. So the neighbor tells him, he's like, "Yeah, your house is haunted. A American Indian had actually lived there, and he like did a ritual and like trapped Mineurecanal spirit in the chimney. So Phil's sitting here thinking he just got a great deal on the house because it's a fixer-upper. He was unaware that he had gotten a great deal in the house because it was freaking haunted. So Phil hasn't experienced any hauntings, but he also hasn't opened the chimney. So I wanted to try the Fenty metallic lipsticks. I usually don't do metallic lipsticks, y'all know this. But, so Phil hasn't experienced any hauntings. He hasn't had any issues like that, but he also hasn't opened the attic. I will say, while I was... So, as you've seen, like, I've put photos up here, whatnot. Well, I'm saving this photo for last. So I'm going through, and I actually found photos of the inside of the house. Y'all, let me tell you how when I saw this picture, I legit almost poopied my pants. Here's the picture. I'm gonna leave it up here for a second for you to thoroughly look at it. Now, upon first glance, that looks like just a creepy body standing there. Upon further investigation, I have discovered it is not a creepy body just standing there. In fact, it is one of those like WWE blow dolls. It's not my fault, yo. Like, it creeped me the hell out when I first saw it, so I had to share it with you. Alright. I hope you guys enjoyed story time. Friday we have a different video requested by a subscriber, Miss Jess. And I'm slowly gonna start finishing off stories about people. I know we haven't gotten to Marie Laveau yet. I know, we're gonna get to it, but that's gonna lead into places. So there's a reason we haven't gotten to it yet. But we're going to eventually finish up with notable people and move into notable locations that have so many different hauntings happening inside them. So that is why we have not talked about Marie Laveau yet. We are going to be talking about Miss Jess's story that she requested. It's very interesting. It's very interesting. I've been reading about it for about 4 or 5 days now, and I'll probably sit down to film it in the next like day or two. And I know we did not have a skincare video this past Saturday. I'm not even gonna lie, y'all. Work's been crazy, and I didn't want to just throw a video up just to throw a video up. So this Saturday we have a whole mini series coming out for Skincare Saturday, so you will be seeing that on Saturday. All right, I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you hit that notification bell, and I'll see you guys Friday. Bye.